the Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast with your hosts, Reese Downing and Jacob Workman.
What's going on, guys? It is TNT Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast, NFL Edition, Week 2 picks. With me, as always, is fine citizen, Mr. Jacob Workman. Jake, how's it going, brother?
Everything is good. Everything's good. Week 1 was week 1. Let's put it that way. You never know what you're going to get, and you can't take too much out of it. So,
yeah, week 1 was kind of garbage for us, but that's okay. We didn't do that great on our locks. We both missed out on that. I had Buffalo, Jake had Miami, and then I had Green Bay as my underdog. Jake had Tennessee, missed both of those. So historically, we don't do that well in week 1, but we warm things up very quickly. So we're just going to chalk this up as knocking the rust off here. So,
and Tennessee is that was a tough one.
Yeah, Tennessee blew that game.
I mean, they could have just kneed and won the game, but instead they got Captain Jackass spinning around, throwing the ball to no one, getting pick sixes. I was like, way to go, Will. Eat some more mayonnaise.
Yeah, I think he just didn't have enough mayonnaise before the game.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into some news here. First and foremost, Rams-Lions Sunday night matchup drew 22.7 million viewers, 3% increase over last year's first Sunday night football matchup, which was the Giants-Cowboys. The Monday night matchup also beat the viewership from last year. So occasionally we see downtime year over year, but it's been up over the past couple of years. So that's good to see for the NFL. Next up here, despite a lackluster performance from Giants quarterback Daniel Jones, who went 22 for 42 and threw 2 picks, head coach Brian Daboll has already announced that they will stick with Jones in week 2. Jury is still out on how long the leash is, but for now, Danny Dimes retains his starting role. Chargers.
I was just saying there was some good videos coming out of that. Guys were waiting after the game for him to come out of the locker room just to talk shit to him, and then people are setting his jersey on fire in the parking lot. You can tell New York loves him.
Yeah. He got lambasted when he walked out of the arena. There's no love left, I think, for Daniel Jones and the New York Giant fans. All right, next up here, Chargers Josh Palmer and Raiders Jack Jones were both ejected from Sunday's matchup after a fight broke out between the players following an unsuccessful 2-point conversion late in the fourth. Multiple players got involved, but Palmer and Jones were the only two ejected. It has been released that there is not going to be any more discipline as far as suspensions and things like that go. So maybe a little bit surprising, but I also think they really broke it up before anything got too out of hand. There were multiple players involved, though, but they were the only two that got dinged. Random stat, but an interesting one here, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, a heads up, but Joe Burrow is now 1-8 in week 1 and week 2 games. Interesting stat. Take that for what you will, but we do have a game to pick that's going to be a tough one for Cincinnati coming up here, so we'll see where we land. The Commanders have released kicker Cade York after he missed a pair of field goals in Sunday's loss to the Bucs. Washington plans to sign Austin Siebert to replace him, so they are putting down the Yorkie. Pittsburgh Steelers have signed safety Terrell Edmonds off the Jags practice squad. It is worth noting that Edmonds was the Steelers' first-round pick in 2018, and he has played 5 seasons with the team, so they are familiar with each other. Cowboys and Dak Prescott announced just before the 1 p.m. games on Sunday that they did come to an agreement on a 4-year, $240 million extension that includes $80 million signing bonus, a no trade clause, a no franchise tag clause, a no transition tag clause, $129 million fully guaranteed at signing, and another $85 million in guarantees as the contract progresses. There is an opportunity for them to get out of the contract, I think, in 2 years. But overall, I think this was not unintentional timing by Jerry to announce this an hour and a half before the games, because it put the Cowboys front and center on all of the pregame shows ahead of that. And Cowboys came through. They got a big win on Sunday in Cleveland. So jury's out on, I've seen some mixed feelings there from Cowboys fans. When Taxis comes onto the show next, we'll definitely have to ask him what he feels about it. But Dak will be a Cowboy for the next few years, it sounds like. Kadarius Toney has been signed to the Browns practice squad. Did you have something to say about the Dak?
I think they're idiots. I mean, we've talked about it a few weeks ago. I guess the other side of it is is who do you get? Like, I don't know who is going to be free agents this year to compare it with. So I guess that's probably what we need to do in the future. But I'm not sold on Dak, but is he the best option for them? I mean, possibly. I don't know. I'd say in the future we can do a deeper dive into that just to see, just because I don't think Dak is the answer there.
In 2025, there's not much out there in terms of quarterbacks. And then we talk about what's coming in this upcoming draft. I just don't think there's a lot there. I think they looked at what that's going to look like over the next couple of years and made the decision to go ahead and get him locked in before a team like the Raiders or the Giants throw a shitload of money at him that they're not going to be able to afford to match at the end of the season.
I just think they could be just as good, though. See, the thing is they're going to have a decent record, so it's going to be a little later pick that they would have. That's kind of where some of the issue would come in. But like, I would take Carson Beck and pay the rookie salary and be just as happy with Carson Beck as I am with Dak. The thing is, I don't know if Carson Beck would last to that pick. That's the issue.
Yeah, they would have to move some more in order to get to the point where they can draft Carson, is what I'm guessing, because historically we'll play well in the regular season and then have a first round playoff exit, and we'll end up with a 23rd pick and not be in a position to get a quarterback.
And trade it to the Lions for Terry and Arnold.
Yeah. Damn it. All right, moving on here. NFL kickers went 21 for 23 on 50-yard plus field goals in week 1. Very, very interesting statistic. Brandon Aubrey had a great game. A lot of kickers had good games. Jake Bates for the Lions is looking good. Looks like that was a good pickup for you guys. So yeah, the kickers are out to show off here in week 1. Next up, if the Browns haven't already had a rough week after getting stomped at home by the Dallas Cowboys, quarterback Deshaun Watson is once again in the news and once again being sued for sexual assault and battery. The plaintiff is being represented by Tony Busby, who represented multiple other accusers that sued Watson in 2021. There's a lot of ugly details about the story that I'm not going to share, but if it proves to be true, Jake, interested in hearing your thoughts, but I think Deshaun Watson needs thrown out of the league. The NFL has a shit track record on disciplinary action. They're all over the place. They need to get one right here. This guy has absolutely zero reason to be in the league making the money that he's making if this is the type of predatory shit that he does off the field. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's an interesting situation. I mean, there's two things that go with this. One, like the deal that they signed when they brought him in with all that guarantee, like the whole thing was guaranteed. I think it was like 280 maybe. Like it was some crazy amount of money. So they can't even like get rid of him essentially. Like I think the cap hit was 125 million for next year if they were to get rid of him. Like it was something crazy like that. So that's the issue for the team. Clearly he has a personal issue when we're at number like 20 or allegedly at like number 24 now or something of people that have accused him of things. I know he's kind of backed up with a lot of that money to just settle 90% of these, but I mean, clearly there's an issue and he hasn't. This is going back to the team again. This has nothing to do with that issue, but he hasn't performed or done anything for the team. So it's kind of like why are you still doing this? Like I get the money situation with the cap hit, but why would you want that on your team also when that's what's going on off the field? I mean, they're the ones that put them in the situation with the cap. So
yeah, I agree. He's still due to receive $92 million that's fully guaranteed. If he gets suspended before the 2025 season, the Browns could declare a default, void the guarantees, and move on from him without having to pay him a dime.
So their saving grace is the NFL suspending him. That's it, hopefully.
Correct, yeah. So hopefully they suspend him sooner so we can see Jobu out there tossing darts because...
yeah, I mean, honestly, I think Jameis should be playing he has not done anything. Like Deshaun, since coming back from the injuries and all of the court dates, he has not done anything on the field to show that he's ready. I mean, the team was saved last year when Flacco became the starter. So, I mean, I don't know. Deshaun to me is, it's probably unfair to say this, but he's reaching like Jamarcus Russell territory at this point. Like he's just collecting tons of money for zero production.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at I was looking at some of the feedback or some of the stuff on Twitter, like he's lost the team.
Oh yeah.
Like there's a clip with one of the linemen that's on his back, and Deshaun goes to try to help him up, and he just swats his hand away. Like nobody on that team wants anything to do with him. You see Amari Cooper on the sidelines rolling his eyes and getting frustrated. Like that entire team is just done with it.
Well,
I know it's a lot of money to wash away from an investment standpoint, but do you want to win football games? If you have to pay him anyway, pay him to sit on his ass. Like,
and part of that too is like if you go back and watch the preseason games, like, and I know people kind of knock him for this, but Jameis is like a team leader. Like, I mean, clearly at Florida State, he took a team undefeated as a redshirt freshman to a national championship. Yeah, the team was loaded, but I mean, he was good. He lost one game in his college career ever. Anywhere he went, Tampa, New Orleans, now in Cleveland, he's always had that team leader ability. In the preseason, he was the one giving the pregame speeches to the team. Like he has that ability. Why would I think they would? Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff he does is goofy as fuck. Well, we know that, but that's Jameis. That's why everyone loves him. But the team will rally around that, and it's not like that team is ass. Like that team is good. Like they have a ton of talent on defense. Like I said in our previews, I did say I'm a little skeptical of the offense. I think the receiving room is kind of bad, but I think that they could still be serviceable. And Njoku had an injury too, so that's a little bit going with it too. But still, like at this point, I mean, he's clearly a cancer. I would get rid of Deshaun, and Jameis by default would be my new starting quarterback.
Yeah, 100%. You see him on the sidelines all the time, and he's the one who's amping guys up. I've never seen Deshaun walking down the sidelines and clapping and trying to get people to get into the game. There was a lot of frustrations. I mean, they had both of their tackles out. So let's be honest about it. Like they suffered from that. Dallas got 6 sacks on this team because they were missing both of their tackles and they couldn't stop the rush.
But if you want to go to that argument too, though, the Rams were missing both of their tackles and still were serviceable. Actually, they lost their third tackle. They were down to they lost 3 tackles. So
Stafford only got sacked twice in that game.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like it's still the NFL. These are still NFL players. It's still doable. Like it just, I don't know. I think a lot of it is the lack of trust and respect for him.
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, from what I've read, this happened around the same time that all these other accusations came out. So it's not to say that he was doing this stuff like in 2024. But yeah, I don't. It's just I don't have any respect for the guy, and I hate seeing him have all this guaranteed money and then doing what he's doing off the field. So we'll see what happens. We saved this last one for last before we jump into injury updates. Unless you live under a rock, you've heard about the Tyreek Hill incident that happened Sunday morning. Very briefly here, Tyreek was driving to Hard Rock Stadium for the game on Sunday. Allegedly, he was driving dangerously. The citation states that he was driving 60 and a 40. Tyreek gets pulled over by the cops. We've got the clip here. So, Jake, if you want to pull it up, we're going to watch this in its entirety, and then we'll talk about what happened after.
Why don't you have your seatbelt on? Why don't you have your seatbelt on? Like what? Why do you have it up? Hey! Keep your window down! Manny! Hey, keep your window down. Keep your window down. I'm gonna get you out of the car. As a matter of fact, get out of the car. Give me that. Get out of the car. Give me that. Break that freaking window. Get out of the car. Get out of the car right now. We're not playing this game. Get out. 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 What part of that don't you understand? Hey, Drew. Hey, Drew. I'm getting arrested, Drew. I'm getting arrested. I'm getting arrested, Drew. I'm getting out, bro. God damn, twin. When we tell you to do something, you do it. You understand?
I'm getting out.
You understand? Not what you want, but what we tell you. You're a little fucking confused.
I'm getting out, bro.
Too late.
Chill,
Too late.
All right, bro. Take me to jail, bro. Do what you gotta do, bro.
We are. We will.
Good, bro.
It is good.
Hey, Drew. Hey.
Don't worry about it. I hung up the phone. You stop crying.
Bro. Y'all.
Don't move.
Good. Bro, you beating on my window like you crazy.
You set him up?
What y'all beating on my window like y'all crazy for? Damn, bro, dude beating on my window like he crazy. I ain't do nothing, twin. Damn. I don't want to do it this time, bro.
Hey, don't park there. Don't park there.
Hey. Hold on, bro. I just had surgery on my knee. Bro. I just had surgery on my knee, bro.
I just had surgery in your ears when we go there with the window down.
Chill, bro. Hey, Joe New, bro.
Back up.
Hey, call Drew. Hey, call Drew, bro. Call Drew. Hey, call Drew, bro. Hey, what? Hey, call Drew, bro. Just call Drew. Hey.
What am I doing that's wrong?
Hey, listen.
Hey, listen. Hey, man, they got Tyreek. The cops over here beating on him, man.
Listen.
They over here beating on Tyreek,
Listen, big man. Don't park there, man. Just get in
Hey,
the car.
hey, Drew, you gotta come, man.
Just get in the car.
Straight up the side, on the side of the,
Hey, get in the car. You're parked in the middle of the street.
I'm in the car.
You gotta go before you get a ticket.
Hey,
I'm
you're in
not
the car.
Who's the driver? This is my car.
All right, move.
All right, I'll take that.
You gotta move right now.
Coming, man.
Let me have your license. You're gonna ticket too.
I'm coming.
Let me have your license. You're gonna ticket. Let me have your license.
I'm leaving.
I'm not playing. Let me have your license.
I'm leaving. Yo, what's
Your
going
license
on?
right now.
What's going on,
Your license right now. You're not gonna give me your license?
Get in the car and leave.
You're not gonna give me your license?
I'm leaving.
Let me have your
I'm
license.
leaving,
Your
man.
license right now.
Sir, you want me
Hey,
to-
your license right now.
I'm leaving.
Or I'm gonna lock you up.
just told
Your
me to
license
leave.
right now.
He just told me to
Your
leave.
license right now.
Sir, he just-
You're dealing with me now.
Sir.
Your license right now.
All right. So for those that are listening and not watching, basically Tyreek Hill gets pulled over for doing 60 and a 40. That's what the citation states. Tyreek complied and gave his driver's license right away, but you can hear that he's being verbally combative. So it didn't help the situation that he was immediately being combative with cops. Officer's initial issue was that Hill didn't have a seatbelt on. Tyreek had his window all the way down, obviously verbally upset, tells the guy to give him his ticket so he can be on his way, and then rolls his window all the way up. The window on Tyreek's car is almost pitch black, so you can't see shit when the window is rolled up. The cop obviously is put into a situation where he probably has some safety concerns because he can't see what Tyreek is doing. Starts knocking on the window to tell Tyreek to roll the window down. Tyreek rolls it down slightly, continues to argue with the cop. There is a second cop that comes up, and in case you couldn't hear it, the cop that takes the driver's license sees it and immediately goes, "It's Tyreek Hill." So they know who they have pulled over. That cop then goes up to the door, yanks the door out, throws Tyreek on the ground. They aggressively put him down on the ground after Tyreek says to hang on a second when they ask him to sit. You see Jonnu Smith and Calais Campbell both walk up just to try to de-escalate the situation. Both guys aren't walking aggressively towards the cops, but Jonnu Smith, I think, is who it was that was at the front, pulled over in front of Tyreek's car after the guys told him do not park there. They're on the phone with Drew Rosenhaus. You hear them yelling at Tyreek, like, you're a little fucking confused. When we tell you to do something, you do it, so on and so forth. It's at that point when Calais Campbell and Jonnu Smith walk up. They've got Drew Rosenhaus on the phone to try to de-escalate the situation further. Calais Campbell ends up actually getting put in handcuffs temporarily. Calais Campbell is not a small man, so you can't see what happens with Calais Campbell and the cop. Finally, obviously, Tyreek gets let go, and then he goes on to have a 100-yard plus game. During the game, when he scores a touchdown, one of his touchdown celebrations is on the picture here. He puts his hand behind his back, and Jalen Waddle comes up and acts like he's handcuffing him. Tyreek Hill, obviously, the Dolphins organization, Drew Rosenhaus, his Tyreek's attorney have all said that he's looking at litigation. The Florida police are obviously saying that Tyreek Hill didn't comply. The whole thing's messy. Jake, what are your thoughts on what happened and what you saw here on the video?
Yeah, one of the things that kind of has gone unspoken in this is the Jonnu Smith and Calais Campbell. Like, what was such a problem with what they were doing? That's what I don't understand. Like, to me, that's kind of where, the cops were overly aggressive with Tyreek also, but why threaten them? They literally did nothing. Like they truly were doing nothing. Like, they were just standing there. And just because he was on a power trip, he started threatening them, and he definitely wasn't playing games. He let us know that about 10 times. But the whole situation is crazy. Obviously, I agree. Tyreek could have helped the situation a little bit more. in an interview, he did say like he didn't want the window down because he didn't want people to see who he was. But like, first off, you could have said that to the cop also, be like, hey, look, much calmer also, and been like, hey, I'm Tyreek Hill. Everyone knows me. I'm just kind of trying to keep a low profile so people don't see who I am right now. Not that cop necessarily would have had to understand that, but it could have helped the situation. And then also when he immediately just starts yelling at the guy for hitting his window, which his window wasn't down, so of course he's going to tap on it. I mean, that's kind of normal. It's not like he was like hitting it with a flashlight or anything crazy. Like it was his hand. So, I mean, I think there was wrong on both parts. Clearly, it was overly excessive with the forcing him to sit down and putting him face down, handcuffing him. I don't even really know why they hung up his phone. I mean, it's not like he was doing anything on the phone. He was just talking to Drew Rosenhaus.
Yeah,
there's just a lot of weird things that go into that. It was clearly unnecessary for a 20 mile an hour over the speed limit situation. And even, I mean, yeah, he said he didn't have a seatbelt on, but his windows were so damn dark. There's no way he could have told if he actually had it on when he was driving or not.
Yeah. I agree with everything that you just said there. I mean, based on what we saw, I really think that there was one cop there that was really the aggressor and the major problem. And it was the dude who knew it was Tyreek Hill. He's the one who, when Tyreek rolled his window up at first, he stepped in and said, "I'll break your fucking window," is exactly what he said to Tyreek Hill. He's the one who yanked Tyreek out of the car and went on the whole charade of, "You do what we tell you to do." He's the one who walked up behind Tyreek aggressively and yanked him on the ground when Tyreek was saying, give me a second to sit down because I just had knee surgery. He's the one, I think it was the cop, and I could be wrong here, but I think he's the cop who also walked up to Janu after the other cop seemed to be trying to de-escalate the situation. Listen, there's wrong on both sides here. As you just said, Tyreek could have handled the situation better. I don't disagree with that, but I think the police officer's responsibility is to try to de-escalate the situation. And definitely. That cop was not interested in de-escalating anything. No. He saw who that was, and I think he went on a bit of a power trip to say, "I'm going to show this guy that I'm in charge here." I'll be interested to see what happens. I think there's definitely wrong on both sides. Tyreek could have handled that situation better. I am thankful that the Miami Police Department released the body cam footage, so there are no questions about what happened. The one officer, I think, is the one who was the aggressor. It sounds like he's on administrative duties, so right now he's been pulled off until they figure out everything that's going on here. Unfortunate situation, wrong on both sides, but I definitely think that if that's skewed one way over the other, the cops did not have to be as aggressive as they were with him, especially after knowing who that is. Like, he shouldn't get preferential treatment, but you should also understand that we have Tyreek Hill pulled over. Like, he's probably going to want to be a little like under the cover, so to speak, about what's happening here, so it's not drawing too much attention. The Johnny Smith, they told him not to pull and park in front of Tyreek Hill, but even after that was done, the cop that was trying to get him to get in the car to leave was being polite. Yeah, he wasn't being aggressive. The other guy came flying in, and he's like, "You're dealing with me now." Mm-hmm. It could have been handled better on both sides. So and then for Calais Campbell, I mean, he's an NFL player, like Walter Payton Man of the Year. Like, yeah, exactly. Like I don't know. There's a lot of it that's just wrong. Yeah. So hopefully things, hopefully everybody will be beyond this and move forward with it. Interesting way to kick off week 1. All right, let's move into some injury updates because there was a lot that happened in week 1. Starting on the Friday night matchup, Packers quarterback Jordan Love is expected to miss some time after injuring his MCL last Friday's loss to the Eagles, but the team has announced that they are not putting him on IR. Malik Willis is going to start in his absence. Dallas Cowboys tight end Jake Ferguson injured his left knee in the Cowboys win over the Browns on Sunday. MRI revealed that the tight end avoided major injury. He does have an MCL sprain. He's considered week to week. In the same game, Browns tight end David Njoku left with an ankle injury. He's currently listed as week to week as well. Rams receiver Puka Nacua aggravated a summer knee injury in Sunday night's overtime loss to the Lions. He is going on IR with a PCL sprain. That will leave him out of commission for at least a month. Carolina Panthers defensive tackle Derek Brown suffered a meniscus injury that will require surgery, is likely keeping him out for the rest of the 24 season. He is seeking a second opinion, so there may be an update there, but the team did sign defensive end Charles Davis, who spent the last 3 years in Detroit and was Miami's first-round pick in 2017. Rams offensive lineman Steve Vila is believed to have suffered an MCL sprain. You talked about that a little bit ago, about how Matt lost 3 tackles and not just 2. Steelers punter Cameron Johnston suffered a season-ending knee injury. The team has signed Corliss Waitman, who has had 2 other stints with the Steelers, most recently in 2021. Saints quarterback Marshawn Lattimore is dealing with a minor hamstring injury. He's likely entering the week as questionable for a New Orleans upcoming matchup against Dallas. Bears rookie wide receiver Roma Dunze injured his knee in Sunday's win over the Titans. He is week to week, I believe. Raiders edge rusher Tyree Wilson suffered a knee sprain in Sunday's loss. He was wearing a knee brace in the locker room, but is believed to not be a long-term injury. Jacksonville cornerback Tyson Campbell suffered a hamstring injury in Sunday's loss to the Dolphins. He's going to miss some time. Miami had both Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert listed as non-practice participants on Monday. Neither player left the game with injuries on Sunday, but clearly came out a little banged up, so that's something to keep an eye on. Christian McCaffrey ended up not playing in last night's win over the Jets as he continues to nurse a calf injury, and he's also listed with an Achilles issue. Let's see here. Tampa Bay is dealing with a lot of injuries. Safety Antoine Winfield is expected to miss 3 to 4 weeks with an ankle and foot sprain. Cornerback Bryce Hall is out for the season after dislocating his ankle and fracturing his fibula. Zion McCollum suffered a concussion. Josh Hayes hurt his ankle, and he's questionable. And defensive lineman Logan Hall is also on the injury report. So Tampa's banged up right now. And finally, 2 other updates. Vikings wide receiver Jordan Addison hurt his ankle on Sunday, and while he does have a chance to play in week 2, he is dealing with some pretty significant soreness, may not be able to go in their upcoming matchup against the Niners. Josh Allen, who injured his left hand during their win against Arizona, has been cleared to play and is good to go for their week 2 matchup against Miami. Jake, you got anything you want to share here before we go into week 2 picks?
Not really. I mean, the Rams, Jesus, the amount of injuries, it's a lot. That's a lot for this early in the season. And the McCaffrey thing was a little interesting because they kind of hid truly how severe that injury was, it seems, because in the post-game press conference, there's a little bit of an issue that the guy who ended up playing said that he was told on Friday that he was going to be the starter.
Yep.
So seems like we might have a little bit of an injury report issue here. So we'll see what comes of that. But yeah, it's a lot of injuries, but at least we didn't lose a big name in week 1 like we did last year. So
yeah, looks like we're going to have a couple guys that'll be out for a few weeks, but we don't have any season-ending injuries to any major players.
I guess theoretically Jordan Love was a pretty big injury, but still.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not going to be out for the season, so we'll see what happens with Green Bay over the next 3 to 4 weeks because Malik Willis is not Jordan Love, but
no.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's jump into week 2 picks. Our Thursday night matchup features the 1-0 Buffalo Bills traveling to South Beach to face off against the 1-0 Miami Dolphins Thursday night in Hard Rock Stadium at 8:20 p.m. on Amazon Prime. First of 2 matchups with these division rivals. Both teams did need second half surges to win their games. Josh Allen is expected to be ready to go. Meanwhile, the Dolphins look to replicate their receiving success as both Waddle and Tyreek had plus 100-yard games in week 1. Miami is 1-4 straight up under McDaniel against the Bills, and the Dolphins are favored right now by 1.5. Who you got, Jake?
Yeah, this is a little different Buffalo team, though. I like Miami to get the cover here, cover the 1.5. Allen, obviously, I know they've already cleared him to play. And like you just mentioned, the running back situation with Miami, but I still think the passing offense of Miami is going to be too much for the new Buffalo secondary.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is going to be a bit of a 50-50 game, but I'm going to take the home team here to get the W by 3, so I'm going to take the Dolphins as well. The first of our Sunday games features the 1-0 New Orleans Saints heading to Jerry World to face off against the 1-0 Dallas Cowboys, 1 p.m. in AT&T Stadium on Fox. Both teams got big wins in week 1. They look to carry that momentum into week 2, particularly on the defensive front. This may come down to which team can better handle QB pressure, as combined these teams had 10 sacks in their season opener. Dallas won the last meeting back in 2021 in the Superdome, and they are favored by 6.5.
Yeah, I think Dallas is going to be too much for them. I'm going to take Dallas minus 6.5.
Yeah, I agree. Dallas was undefeated at home during the regular season last year. I'm not going to go against that record. I think Zimmer's going to force some turnovers out of Carr, so I am taking Dallas here, minus the points. Next up, we have an NFC divisional rematch from last year's playoffs as the 1-0 Tampa Bay Buccaneers travel to Motor City to meet the 1-0 Detroit Lions, 1 p.m. in Ford Field on Fox. Baker Mayfield looked sharp in week 1, going for just under 300 yards in the air and 4 touchdowns. On the flip side, the Bucs will have their hands full, especially on the ground, as this Monty Gibbs combo went for over 160 on the ground and can really exhaust defenses with a fresh back always in the game. Detroit is favored by 7.
Yeah, if that overtime performance by the Lions didn't show what this team's all about, every guy who's ever played offensive line in his life hit the ceiling with the erectile area. It was I mean that was what Dan Campbell preaches, is grit, and my God, did they just shove it right up their ass. It was awesome. I'm taking the Lions. I think Antoine Winfield being out of this game is huge. And the home state, like if you can't look at Ford Field and just love what's going on there, it's incredible. They're going to be tough to beat at home. I love the Lions to cover this.
Yeah, I mean, you and I have been to so many games in Ford Field back in the Joey days. I wish we were still in the area to be able to go to a Lions game now with Ford Field, because that place has got to be electric.
It's crazy.
Detroit's ground game is very formidable, but I think Tampa is also going to struggle with the pass game in the secondary. Jamison Williams looked really good in the game. I'm hoping that this is kind of a breakout year for him. Should be an easy W for Detroit, so I'm going to take the Lions here minus the points. Next up, Battle of Clemson alumni is Deshaun Watson and the 0-1 Cleveland Browns travel south to Duval to battle against Trevor Lawrence and the 0-1 Jacksonville Jaguars, 1 p.m. in Everbank Stadium on CBS. Cleveland looks to bounce back after an ugly loss at home to the Dallas Cowboys, while the Jags return home after a close loss to the Miami Dolphins. Both quarterbacks had a sub 60% completion rate and look to make some improvements, but will likely be under pressure as both defenses do have the ability to cause some chaos in the backfield. Jacksonville is favored by 3.5.
Yeah, I think Dabo will be on his knees for a different reason watching this game. I think he's praying for the days of when these guys were the quarterback. But I like Jacksonville minus 3.5 in this one. I really hope this is the last time we see Deshaun. If Deshaun does not play, then I think my pick is Cleveland. I will take Jameis in Cleveland at plus 3.5. But if it is Deshaun, then I'm on Jacksonville.
All right, fair enough. Dynamite drop in there, Monty, with the Dabo comment. Cleveland was 3-6 on the road last year. For some reason, their defense just hasn't translated away from home. I suspect something similar here. Couple that with Watson's poor play. I'm going to go with the Jags here, minus the points, unless Jobu is under center. If Jobu's under center, then I'll flip that. But right now, we're going to go Jacksonville. All right. Next up, we have the 1-0 San Francisco 49ers traveling to the north to face off against the 1-0 Minnesota Vikings, 1 p.m. in US Bank Stadium on CBS. Niners hitting the road on a short week after getting a statement win over the Jets, despite not having Christian McCaffrey, while the Vikings return home after getting their own statement win against the New York Football Giants. We'll see if Sam Darnold can repeat his mistake-free performance against a much better defense. San Fran is 11-2 on the road with Brock Purdy under center. Niners are favored by 6.5.
Yeah, this isn't the Giants. I'll take the Niners minus 6.5. I don't think this one's close.
Yeah, Vikings look good in week 1, but the Giants are garbage on offense. I'm not confident they can repeat that performance, even if it is at home. I'd love to see the upset, but I'm going to take the Niners here to cover. Next up, we have the 1-0 LA Chargers going coast to coast from Los Angeles to Charlotte as they match up against the 0-1 Carolina Panthers, 1 p.m. in Bank of America Stadium on CBS. In true hardball fashion, the Chargers relied very heavily on the run game as J.K. Dobbins had 135 on the ground in their win over the Raiders. That spells trouble for the Panthers, who just gave up 180 rushing yards in week 1 and lost their key defensive tackle to what sounds like a season-ending injury. We'll see if the Panthers are able to shake off their 2-6 home performance from 2023. The Chargers are favored by 6.5.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up. Yeah, losing your best defensive player when you're already just as ass can get. This team sucks. Like I think they were talking on Pat McAfee's show today that you could get 2 tickets to this game for $1.50. Like it's that bad. So I'm on the Chargers minus 6.5 in what might be a bloodbath.
Yeah, we talked about this in our division previews. Panthers need to buckle up for another long year. I'm taking the Chargers here minus the points without question.
Like I mean, we live in an area that has a lot of Panthers fans for some reason. I mean, well, we know why, but like, how can you be a fan of that team? I truly don't get it. Like, it's like I there's nothing I love more than when football starts. And I was a fan of an 0-16 team, and I still would watch that 0-16 team any day of the week over this Panthers team. Like, they're unwatchable. They're so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, their last home game, I think it was week 17 last year that they played at home, and they literally had like 40 people there. Like, there was no one there. I mean, it's awful.
Yeah. It's going to be another rough year for Carolina. It's not looking good. All right. So next up, we have the largest spread of the week as the 0-1 Las Vegas Raiders rack up the travel points as they head to Baltimore to face off against the 0-1 Baltimore Ravens. 1 p.m. in M&T Bank Stadium on CBS. The Raiders struggled to put points on the board against the Chargers in their week 1 loss, while the Ravens are coming off a game where they had just over 450 yards on offense and lost a tight game in Arrowhead against the Chiefs. Baltimore was 6-4 against the spread last year as the favorite at home. They are favored by 9.5 here.
Yeah, though their record was only 6-4 against the spread at home, they were still very good at home. So I like Baltimore in this one to cover the 9.5.
Yeah, I'm going Ravens here too. Spread may be a little bit concerning anytime you get close to 10 points in games like this, but they looked great in week 1. Should be able to kick off King Henry's first official home game with a bang. I'm going to take the Ravens here minus the points as well. Next up, we have the 1-0 Seattle Seahawks taking flight to Foxborough as they match up against the 1-0 New England Patriots, 1 p.m. in Gillette Stadium on Fox. Both rookie coaches got debut wins with their teams and looks to keep that momentum going, with Seattle beating the Broncos at home and the Patriots getting a surprising win over Burrow and the Bengals in Cincinnati. Both teams had pretty balanced approaches in week 1, but the Patriots defense could be a difference maker here as they held Cincinnati to 224 yards in total offense. We'll see if Ryan Grubb can find ways to get going against Gerard Mayo's defense here. Seattle is favored by 3.5.
Yeah, I know Cincinnati's offense there were some injury situations and some guys just starting to play with each other because they didn't get to practice at all, but it's still a surprising performance from New England. Like, we talked about how they might be the last winless team, and which I clearly now, we should have thought that was, I think we did talk about Carolina being that also, but New England, that was a shock. No one really expected them to win that game. However, I do like Seattle in this one. I'm going to take them to go on the road cross country and get the win in the cover. We've got a lot of cross country flights here. LA is going to Carolina, Vegas is going to Baltimore, Seattle's going to New England. Like, usually that spells trouble in the NFL, where we might get some interesting results this week.
Yeah, that's a little bit of why I'm a little concerned about this game. I think it's going to be a bit of a defensive battle, and if that happens, it's going to favor the Patriots. I like Seattle to win this game, but 3.5, possibly late in the game. I'm going to roll the dice and take the Patriots here plus the 3.5 to keep it within 3.
Well, 37.5 is one of the lowest over-unders I've ever seen in an NFL game. That's like Iowa football level. Like, that's low. That's really low.
All right. Yep. Okay, we're good here. Next game up, we have the interconference battle next as the 0-1 Indianapolis Colts head to the land of cheese to battle the 0-1 Green Bay Packers, 1 p.m. in Lambeau Field on Fox. Indy is coming off a close home loss against a talented Texas team, while the Packers return home from Brazil and look to move forward without their young quarterback in Jordan Love, who is going to be out with a knee injury. Intro Malik Willis here, who has found his way to Green Bay after a stint in Tennessee. Anthony Richardson racked up over 200 yards on just 9 completions. So the Packers defense is going to need to look out for big plays. Colts are favored by 3.5 as the road team.
Yeah, and my knock on AR has always been his accuracy, and he can't throw the ball that well. And that was proven last week. A.D. Mitchell, they would have won the game, and A.D. Mitchell would have had a huge debut game if he could have just hit him. He's wide open multiple times. And this is a little bit of my concern here too. Like, going on the road to Lambeau's not a fun place to play. I know they don't have Jordan Love, but I'm actually really skeptical of taking a road 3.5 point favorite in this one, but I'm going to take the Colts. But this is one of my least favorite ones of the week.
Yeah, I have this marked as my least favorite game of the week in terms of spread. I'm with you. I'm going to take Indianapolis. The talent drop from Love to Willis, I think, is going to be too much for Green Bay to overcome in terms of getting points on the board. But I expect this to be a pretty low-scoring game when it's all said and done. I am going to take Indy. Next up, we have the 0-1 New York Jets hitting the road for the second straight week as they head to Nashville to face off against the 0-1 Tennessee Titans, 1 p.m. in Nissan Stadium on CBS. The Jets go into a short week after a 13-point loss to the Niners in San Fran, while the Titans had the lead going into the half against the Bears in Chicago, but let it slip away and return home looking for their first win. Is Rodgers going to be able to improve the synergy on that Jets offense, or is Levis going to be able to minimize mistakes to keep the Titans in the game? We'll see here. The Jets are favored by 3.5 as the road team.
Yeah, I'm still so mad at them ruining my pick last week. I'm taking the Jets minus 3.5. I mean, it's going to be a short week for them, and they're on the road again. But Will Levis just made me very angry last week, so I'm taking the Jets minus 3.5.
Yeah, I think Salah is going to be able to get to Levis, cause them to make some mistakes. So I'm going to go with the Jets here minus the points as well. The last of our 1 p.m. games is an NFC East battle as the 0-1 New York Giants head to Landover to meet the 0-1 Washington Commanders in Northwest Stadium on Fox. New York is coming off an embarrassing week 1 loss against the Vikings that saw Daniel Jones throw the ball 42 times and resulted in 2 picks. Meanwhile, the Commanders had their own offensive struggles, but look to build upon their dual threat rookie quarterback under the helm in Jaden Daniels. Giants have won 5 of the last 6 in Washington, but this one is a coin flip in Vegas. Commanders are favored by 1.5.
Yeah, it's 2 teams that aren't really that great, but I do think are going in opposite directions. Like, I think Washington is a much better team and set up better, and give Daniels a little bit more time. I like them at home to cover the 1.5.
Yeah, the Giants aren't going to get anywhere if they let Danny Dimes throw over 40 times and have 0 run support. I think this Giants team's going in the wrong direction as well. I'm going to take Washington here and have Jaden Daniels get his first W. First 4 p.m. matchup features the 0-1 Los Angeles Rams as they head to the desert to face off against the 0-1 Arizona Cardinals. 4:05 p.m. kickoff in State Farm Stadium on Fox. Arizona had a first half lead before blowing it in the second and needs to get their first round pick and Marvin Harrison Jr. more involved in the offense. While the Rams lost an OT nail biter against the Lions Sunday night and look to life without Puka Nacua for the next few weeks as he nurses a knee injury. The Rams have won the last 9 in Arizona, but the Cardinals are favored here by 1.5.
Yeah, the Rams are dealing with a ton of injuries like we've mentioned, but I do think they still have enough. Look at the running game going. The defense is still going to be fairly good. And then, Stafford and Kupp are still together. So I like the Rams to get the cover here.
Yep, I'm with you. I'm taking Stafford here plus the points, even with Puka out. Next up, we have the 0-1 Cincinnati Bengals, who are traveling to KC as they battle the Kansas City Chiefs, 4:25 p.m. in Arrowhead on CBS. The Bengals look to shake off an embarrassing week 1 loss at home to the Patriots, where they were held to only 225 yards on offense, as we talked about earlier, while the Chiefs are coming off a long rest and look to keep their momentum up after a big win last Thursday against the Baltimore Ravens. Should be a pretty heated matchup. These teams don't like each other. KC is favored by 5.5.
Yeah, like you mentioned earlier, Cincinnati tends to start the season a little slower. I know they kind of are the Chiefs killers usually, but it's not time yet, and I think T. Higgins is going to be out again. So I'm going to take the Chiefs minus 5.5, and I'm not sure this one's that close either. Like, typically, I would say this is going to be one of the more anticipated games of the weekend, but I think we might be looking at like a 17-point win for the Chiefs here.
Yeah, I think this potentially may end up a little surprising as to what the spread is here. I am going to take KC here to win and cover at home. The last of our 4 p.m. matchups features the 1-0 Pittsburgh Steelers as they continue their road trip this week, heading to Mile High to face off against the 0-1 Denver Broncos, 4:25 p.m. in Empower Field on CBS. The Steelers got a big win starting Justin Fields, supported by a pillar defensive performance that generated 3 turnovers in their victory over Atlanta last week, while the Broncos lost by 6 in Seattle behind a rough week 1 performance from rookie quarterback Bo Nix. Justin Fields will get the start again in week 2. That has been announced today. Pittsburgh has lost their last 4 in Denver, but they are favored by 3.
Yeah, and speaking of the over-unders, 36.5. This one's even lower. So no scoring at all anticipated. I like Pittsburgh's defense to be too much in this one. I think they'll keep getting pressure. Bo Nix cannot throw the ball deep, so I'm pretty good on the Steelers minus 3 here.
All right. Yeah, I'm going Steelers defense, I think, is going to get to Knicks early and often. That's going to be the difference. So I'll take Pittsburgh here. Sunday night matchup features the 1-0 Chicago Bears as they travel to Bayou City to face off against the 1-0 Houston Texans. 8:20 p.m. kickoff at NRG Stadium on NBC. The Bears relied heavily on special teams and defense to get their week 1 win over the Titans as rookie quarterback Caleb Williams finished with just 93 passing yards, while second-year standout C.J. Stroud and the Texans get their first home game after getting a big win at Indy last week over the Colts. Stroud typically performs very well at home, but they were 5-5 against the spread last year. Houston is favored by 6.5.
Yeah, I'm still not sold on this Bears team. I think they're going to need a lot of time still. I like Houston a lot. Houston to cover this one on Sunday night.
Yeah, I think this one will probably be a fun one to watch. I think Caleb's going to shake off some of the nerves. He should play a little bit better. But this Texas team, it's their game to lose. Look for Stroud and Mixon both be busy. I'm going to take Houston here to get the outright win. Monday night football matchup has the 0-1 Atlanta Falcons as they hit the road to the city of brotherly love to battle the 1-0 Philadelphia Eagles. 8:20 p.m. kickoff in Lincoln Financial Field on ESPN. Falcons hit the road after a tough home loss against a defensive strong Pittsburgh Steelers squad, while the Eagles return home from Brazil after a big win over the Green Bay Packers. Kirk Cousins will need to minimize turnovers to keep the Falcons in the game, while the Eagles look like a more well-rounded team after 1 week anyway, with the addition of Saquon Barkley, who had through 132 total yards and has definitely made an immediate impact. Captain Kirk historically does not perform well on Monday night. He has a 3-10 record overall all time as a starter, but he has won 3 of his last 4. Philly is favored by 6.5.
Yeah, I love Philly at home in this one. I really loved what they showed in Brazil against Green Bay. Maybe we're getting the resurgence of Philly, come back and possibly win the division again this year. That division tends to not have a back-to-back winner very often. So I like Philly in this one, and hopefully this gets us one step closer to seeing Penix be the quarterback of the Falcons.
Yeah, I would love for that to happen. I'm taking the Eagles here. I think they have more talent on both sides of the ball. They should be able to get the W here by 7 to 10 points by the time the final whistle blows. So I'm going to go with Philly. All right, guys, it is time for locks of the week. Jake, who is your lock?
I'm going to the Chargers. If you're deemed the assiest of ass, I'm going against you. So give me the Chargers minus 6.5 in the second Queen City, Charlotte.
I love it. My lock of the week is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs over the Cincinnati Bengals. We talked about this a good bit just a second ago, but Cincinnati, I just think, is walking into a buzzsaw right now with Kansas City. They look really good. I love what they did with Xavier Worthy, getting him the ball in the air and on the ground. This offense is better than it was last year. So I think very easily lock in on KC over the Chiefs, or KC over the Bengals. All right, underdog pick of the week, Jake.
Give me the Rams. Going on the road to Arizona. It's not that wonderful at plus 102, but it's still plus money. So we'll take the Rams at plus 102.
Yeah, let's keep this simple and keep those dogs barking because I'm going the same route. I'm taking the Rams over the Arizona Cardinals. I think it's a close enough spread. Difficult to pick an underdog this week, really. But yeah, I think LA's the team to do it. So we have both locked in on the Rams being the underdog. That is it for week 2 picks. Jake, you got anything to share here before we sign off?
No, not really. Other than just hopefully we can get through another weekend and not have any crazy injuries and no arrest before the game. And
yeah, I forgot to give you a nod to that fancy ass hat you've got on. It looks good, and it's Tuesday Night Touchdown colors, so even better.
I know it fits right in.
Awesome. All right, guys. For the fine citizen over there, Jacob Workman, this is Reese Downing, TNT Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast, NFL Edition, Week 2 picks. Thanks for listening. Like, share, subscribe. Check out our NCAA show, and we will see you guys next week.
See you, everyone.